It is with gratitude and humility that we acknowledge that we're gathered, on unceded sacred homelands of the Munsee and Mahiko-Neok people, who merged largely due to colonial displacement to become the Stockbridge Munsee community, now a sovereign nation based in Wisconsin. We also recognize the lives of those enslaved on this land who built our economy and infrastructure for free. And we acknowledge those who came here as settlers, as migrants either in this generation or in generations past, and their contributions to Ulster County. Now, it is my pleasure to invite Rabbi Jack Sharratt from Congregation Emmanuel of the Hudson Valley to the stage to offer this evening's invocation.
Thank you, County Executive Jen Metzger, for honoring me with the invitation to offer this invocation. As it turns out, I, a rabbi, am in the business of invoking things. Not to be confused with conjuring things. I am not in the practice of summoning stuff, although I am, if you ask my bar mitzvah students, in the process of learning some magic tricks. But I am not in the practice of bending reality to my will or of calling forth holiness from the high heavens. Holiness is already here. Of course, this invocation does require my prayer cape, so if you'll excuse me for just 1 moment. Holiness is already here. My work is to call into the room anything that might not otherwise arrive unless invited. Peace, forgiveness, wisdom, attention, intention. Or at the very least to name whatever it is we hope might wander in if given half a chance. Patience, humility, and importantly, joy. Tonight marks Rosh Chodesh Adar, the new month of Adar, which in the cycle of Jewish time leads up to Purim, and that in this calendar year coincides with both the Lunar New Year and with Ramadan, and invites us in a delightfully subversive bit of theology to lean into, and despite the topsy-turviness of it all, whether told by the Megillah or according to executive order, invites us to lean into and to increase our joy with the reminder that survival sometimes arrives sideways, disguised as merriments or perhaps in the form of a brass bands, that fear loses its footing when it has nowhere to stand, that mechanisms of resistance are radically local, governed by people in relationship and through leaders who listen. So listen up. Not to the lies of racism and white supremacy that are sung together in this eternally recurrent earworm of air and noise, where fear is the first measure and control the final cadence. Listen up, not to the discords, the unraveling, the eviscerating, the gutting of what feels sacred for all of us in this country, in this county, where a false hierarchy of humans threatens us all. Listen and hear this. Enough. Justice demands that we notice, take stock, reflect, ask questions, educate ourselves, build relationships, commit to repair, that we offer an apology for the ways in which we are complicit, knowingly or not, in systems and structures that privilege some and disenfranchise others. Justice demands joy. Justice demands laughter. Justice demands light. Light rejects definition, is formless, transparent, gossamer, radiant, luminous, like so many sequins or glitter or lame. Light rejects binary and symmetry, moralizing and hiddenness. Light can be of any color, refuses to assimilate, and is unapologetically and radically visible. Light will not be ignored and does not pass. Light is expansive, eternal, and forms an imaginary point, a sharp, shiny point by which to question or eviscerate hegemonic standards of governance. And County Executive Jen Mesker is a light. So listen up, be like Jen. Lift the lights, lift your lights, not up to God's. What needs of light does God have? Lift your light up to one another and see beyond what distracts and divides. See what is sacred and steady, human and whole. Listen and see. County Executive Jen Mesker, lead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Jack. Much appreciated. And now I would like to welcome the Ulster County Sheriff's Honor Guard for the posting of colors, and Victor Cueva, who is the Executive Director of the Ulster County Immigrant Defense Network, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance in English and Spanish.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yo prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, entera, con libertad y justicia para todos.
Order colors. Carry colors. Mark time, march. Right, turn. Forward, march.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Victor, and to the color, of course, the Honor Guard. And now we're delighted to welcome Ulster County Poet Laureate Mike Jurkovic, who will share a selection of poetry with us this evening.
I want to say thanks everybody for coming out. Just to slightly reflect on Rabbi Jack's words, in a way, not in a way, we're all in this together. So, and this is called Common Square. Was written in 2022, and It's only gotten worse. So this is called Common Square. The blue wisdom sky beckons Minutemen and brethren to assemble on this common square, to defend from within this time that our time as free men is not gone, that the perfect union belongs to one skin, one God, one torn, ragged banner, to defend from within this time those against those who deem themselves the only heir to this land, to defend from within this time those who have abandoned this common square, to defend from within this time, to defend from within this time, to defend from within this time. One more time. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Jamie Capuano, Deputy County Executive and Chief of Staff. It is my honor to welcome everyone here tonight to the Rosendale Theater for the 2026 State of the County Address by County Executive Jen Metzger. Thank you to our host here at the theater, Managing Director Jesse Helfner, Technical Director Justin Peone, and the entire board and volunteer team for making this event possible. And I hear the concession stands. Let's give them a round of applause. A lot of work here. And I do hear the concession stands will be open after, so definitely pop by and say hello. We are joined tonight by many distinguished guests. I'd like to recognize our countywide elected officials, Clerk Taylor Bruck, Sheriff Juan Figueroa, Comptroller March Gallagher, Legislator Chair Peter Criswell, Vice Chair Megan Sperry, and members of the Ulster County Legislature. We are also, give them a round too, yep, they're all from here. We would also like to recognize the supervisors, mayors, and municipal leaders who are with us this evening. We're also pleased to welcome SUNY Ulster President, Dr. Allison Buckley, and SUNY Ulster Board Chair, Rob Jacobson, as well as Ulster BOCES District Superintendent, Dr. Jonah Shanker, representatives from our federal and state offices are here as well, including staff from the office of Congressman Pat Ryan, Congressman Josh Riley, and Comptroller Ton DiNapoli. I also want to acknowledge our Ulster County department heads and many members of the Ulster County team who are here tonight. Your leadership and dedication make an enormous difference to the lives of our residents. Thank you all. We're grateful for all of you we are grateful to all of you for being part of this evening and for your continued partnership in serving our communities. It is now my pleasure to welcome Legislator Lindsey Grossman to the stage. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm honored to welcome you all to the Rosendale Theater here in the heart of District 19, which I am very proud to represent in the legislature. Thank you. We are living through a moment that demands courage and conviction. Across the country, we are seeing reckless federal decisions that threaten healthcare, destabilize working families, undermine environmental protections, and erode basic democratic norms. These are not abstract debates. They affect our neighbors, they affect small businesses, and the future that our children will inherit. When our federal government continues to fail us, local government must lead even stronger. Here in Ulster County, we believe in protecting people's rights. That includes the right to due process for everyone, including our immigrant friends and neighbors. We believe in defending access to health care and social services, including a woman's right to choose. We believe in science and climate action, creating meaningful job growth alongside innovative companies, and in building housing that working families can actually afford. And we believe that government should serve the people who got them there, not special interests, not chaos, and certainly not cruelty. This kind of leadership requires a strong executive working in true partnership with the legislature. County Executive Jen Metzger has shown that steadied, principled leadership matters. She has positioned Ulster County to stand firm in uncertain times, making investments in our future and helping our most vulnerable communities access the services that they need. And I'm proud to partner with her in the legislature to ensure that Ulster County remains a place where democracy works, where neighbors look out for one another, and where we meet this moment with courage. And in light of deepening federal cuts, we have a very challenging but a critical responsibility to together ensure that our nearly $500 million budget reflects the highest needs of our community. And here locally, I'm so proud to also work alongside Supervisor Jean Walsh and the Town Board of Rosendale to make sure that we keep Rosendale safe, resilient, and affordable. And so with that said, I'd love to welcome Supervisor Jean Walsh to the podium.
You can tell this podium was built for a tall person. I don't know if you can see me. I just first of all want to welcome all to Rosendale. This is the Rosendale Theater that has been around for over 100 years, and it's been a big part of the community, and we thank the Theater Collective for hosting this and for continuing to operate this theater and making it part of all the people that live here having wonderful memories of this theater. I also want to thank the Rosendale Improvement Band for welcoming everyone here, because you get a real flavor of Rosendale when you see how they play, and they participate in all the events in Rosendale, which is really a joy. But I'm here because I would like to welcome Jen Metzger to her own town, which she is from Rosendale. And, she started out in Rosendale as an elected official, first as the environmental commissioner, and she worked with me on many projects on the town board, and we had a very close working relationship, and were able to succeed in a lot of projects due to Jen's hard work. And it's been a pleasure to watch her move on and become our county executive and do work for the whole community, not just for the town. And she's always had the residents in mind when she does projects, and we all know her as the person who looks at environment first. Housing is very important to her, and we thank her for those projects that she's working on. Just for Rosendale alone, she's been instrumental in getting us a $500,000 grant to help us build our water tower, $100,000 towards our recreation, instrumental in putting together the new playground, and $100,000 is going towards a new solar array at our RMC, which is our town hall. So I know you're not here to hear me. I'm here to welcome you all and to welcome Jen to the podium. And without any further from me, I just want to say thank you to Jen and welcome to Rosendale.
Thank you, Jean. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my hometown theater. So, I chose this location not because I can walk to it, though I can walk to it. I chose it because it's an example of the kind of power that community can have when we come together for a shared purpose. 17 years ago, the Cascio family made the difficult decision to sell this building after running it as a movie theater for more than 60 years. Michael Cascio is with us today. Michael, it's so good to see you. The Rosendale Theater had long been an anchor on Main Street, a beloved local entertainment spot where you could still get popcorn for $1. The community was determined not to let it go. I was in those early meetings across the street at Amy Trumpeter's, open to anyone who wanted to pitch in their time and energy to save the theater. The Rosendale Theater Collective was born, and some 60 potlucks, music benefits, and fundraising drives later, the collective purchased the theater and has run it mainly on volunteer power ever since. Today, it is not just playing movies, it's an arts and cultural anchor with live theater, performances, and an ethos that is all about uplifting and supporting our community. The popcorn is not $1 anymore, okay? But it's still a bargain, and if you just stop the concession on the way out and buy some, it'll help pay the bills. But I tell you this story because all of us need to come together in this challenging time for our country with the same spirit of shared purpose. It's impossible for me to talk about the state of the county without talking about the state of our country. Those of you who know me, like most of the people in this room, know that I am a positive and hopeful person by nature. But we are faced with a reality that we cannot hide from or pretend does not affect us here in Ulster County. We are at risk of losing our democracy. We have already seen a major erosion of institutional and constitutional constraints on how power is wielded at the federal level. We have a president who believes he is above the law and the Constitution. Our country now has a massive federal police force that operates without restraint or accountability in the name of immigration enforcement, and is committing acts of brutality and violence against immigrants as well as people who were born here. You have no doubt all heard about a plan for an ICE detention center, a warehouse for human beings, right next door in Orange County. If this happens, ICE will be looking to fill those cells with people from our communities. They will be filling those cells with our neighbors, with the parents of our kids' school friends, with local restaurant owners and the workers who grow, cook, and serve our food, fix our roofs, build our buildings, and care for our sick and our elderly. Immigrants have historically played an important role in this county, and that hasn't changed. Over 1/4 of our agricultural workforce is immigrant labor. Immigrants account for 17% of our construction workforce, 16% of non-professional service workers, and 13% of our healthcare workforce, including 1/4 of all home health aides. When you consider that foreign-born residents make up only 8% of our county's population, you can see that they make an outsized contribution as workers in our local economy, just as they always have. I was glad to hear Governor Hochul announce new protections from over-aggressive immigration enforcement, and I urge passage of the New York For All Act, which would implement that law would implement on a statewide basis what we're already doing in Ulster County. Both Sheriff Juan Figueroa and I have directives in place not to cooperate with ICE unless required by law, and to uphold the rights of all people protected under the Constitution. Among the most basic requirements of a democracy is transparency and accountability. There is nothing transparent or accountable about officers and agents whose identities are hidden from public view. In the coming months, I will work with the legislature, sheriff, and DA to establish a clear countywide standard for all law enforcement operating in Ulster County, including ICE. They should not be masked, and they should be wearing a badge with their name and ID number, just like our local and county police do. Our communities are experiencing the cost of other damaging federal policies. The Trump tariffs have increased the prices of food, clothing, apparel, electronics equipment, auto parts, machinery, and many of the materials we need to make and build things. Steel and aluminum, lumber from Canada, lime and gypsum from Mexico. Tariffs are regressive taxes that drive up costs for our residents and businesses. Ironically, as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, we have the first tariff on tea since the Tea Act of 1773 that precipitated that revolution. If all the Trump tariffs remain in place, they're expected to impose an annual average burden on households of $2,100 this year, according to the Tax Policy Institute. That is a burden our residents can ill afford, especially with many now facing skyrocketing health insurance premiums as a result of cuts to Affordable Care Act subsidies. And on top of all of this, the federal budget signed last July makes massive cuts to SNAP and Medicaid over 3 years that will cause needless suffering. The pain of this federal budget will be felt not just by people who rely on these programs. Local property taxpayers are being made to shoulder a greater share of costs previously paid by the federal government. The county's share of costs to administer SNAP alone, it will increase this year by 50%. And this is all to pay for federal tax cuts that disproportionately benefit the wealthy and large corporations. And thank you. Yes, I agree. In this year alone, the top 5% wealthiest households in New York will see an expected windfall of $13 billion. Is that fair? No, it's not fair. So we've got all these extraordinary headwinds, from rising costs for our residents, a terrorized immigrant workforce, and a breakdown of national democratic governance and constitutional constraints. It is a daunting picture. But here in Ulster County, we are committed to keeping a steady course and tacking through this storm. We are committed to upholding the law and protecting our constitutional rights. We're committed to open, transparent, and accountable government. And we're committed to doing what we can to address the challenges we face. This begins with our work to make the cost of living a little more affordable. We kept property taxes flat again this year, even as the federal government shifts. Yeah. Oh, yes. Even as the federal government shifts more costs to the county, so we're really doing our best to hold the line. And we want to go even further. This year, we're working with Senator Hinchey to introduce state legislation to pilot a 10% property tax exemption for full-time residents. This would mean that second homeowners pay more. But if you have enough disposable income to own a second home, then you can afford to pay a little more in property taxes. It really comes down to fairness. The second home market has driven up housing costs for our residents and has made it hard for young families to find a home they can afford. In the Catskill towns of Shandaken, Denning, and Hardenburg, fully 1/3 to 2/3 of all houses are second homes. While these homes sit dark much of the year or earn income as short-term rentals, our full-time residents are keeping our communities running, our schools and libraries, our fire and EMS service, and all that sustains civic life, often with fewer neighbors to share the load. Our proposal to the state is rooted in the recognition that we would have no community or local economy without the people who call this county their home. And we have to make sure they can continue to afford to live here. And speaking of the people who live and work here, we're also making life more affordable for our own county employees. We've negotiated new contracts with 5 of our unions that brought everyone's wages up, and we brought wages up even more for those at the lower end of the pay range. For non-union employees, we created the county's first ever, or county government's first ever pay plan, providing a fair wage and a transparent pathway for growth. And for all employees, we created our very own paid family leave program so that they can take the time to bond with a newborn or adoptive child and still pay the bills. I'm delighted to share that in less than a year since we launched this program, 38 babies were born to county employees. In some cases, both parents were employees, and they got to spend 12 weeks, paid weeks, at home, bonding with their new child or children. I say children because some were twins, and as a mother of twins, I can tell you they really need the full 12 weeks. Hands down. Meanwhile, we're tackling the affordability challenges that all our residents face, especially on the housing front. In the time since we created the Housing Action Fund in 2023, we've supported 11 housing projects, adding 362 homes for affordable rent and home ownership. This past year, we saw the completion of 3 beautiful green, affordable housing developments in Highland, New Paltz, and Kingston that together add 272 homes for seniors and families, some with incomes as low as 30% of area median income. Together, yeah, we can clap for that. Together with our Plus One program and plans for Elizabeth Manor, the county is supporting close to 700 new homes that our residents can actually afford. And we're just getting started. We're also pioneering new kinds of housing solutions. We just got our approvals last night from the City of Kingston to move forward with building the county's first cooperative for affordable home ownership on Elizabeth Street in Kingston. And we're excited to partner with Assemblymember Shrestha and Senator Hinchey on a social housing pilot that they've proposed in the state budget, and we hope it passes. We want to see it happen. It's a project right here in Rosendale. in fact. In 2026, we want to see a meaningful reduction in homelessness. Before the end of the year, the Old Quality Inn in the town of Ulster will be transformed by Repco into Willow Landing, providing permanent, supportive housing to 83 individuals and families who are homeless or stuck in the emergency housing system. It gets better. They will have access to mental health and wellness services, counseling and job training, daycare, transportation, and even a commissary kitchen and an indoor pool open to the community with swim lessons for the kids. I'm excited. This is the kind of project we love to support because it builds communities rather than isolating people who are struggling. At the same time, we want to expand alternatives to the state's emergency housing system, which relies on private motels. This year, we're investing $2 million from our Housing Action Fund to create smaller community-based shelters operated by a nonprofit partner. We've just recently released the request for proposals. These sites will be designed to provide stability, dignity, and support until families transition into permanent housing. Emergency housing should be a bridge forward, not a place where families get stuck. After housing, transportation is typically the greatest cost burden for households. We are proud to be the first in the state to make public transit entirely free. And yeah, it's catching on. It's catching on. We've been getting a lot of calls from Dutchess County legislators recently who are very interested in doing the same. And over in Orange County, the cities of Newburgh and Middletown followed our lead this past year. And Mayor Mamdani in New York City is going to take it up like a notch or 10 notches and planning to offer free public transit bus service in New York City. So I just want to be clear, it all started here, folks. It all started there. We want service to be not just free, but reliable and efficient. Yeah, let's hear it for reliability. UCAT service was not without its bumps this past year. We saw the unexpected loss of the transfer point at the Kingston Plaza and disruptive changes to routes that were difficult for our riders. But I want to assure you that we are dedicated to continuous improvement, and we've got some exciting plans for this year, 2026. Starting March 1st, Kingstonians will have new Sunday service to Stony Run, the Kingston Plaza, Midtown, the Rondout, and all points in between. And later in the year, we're planning to roll out the first phase of the county's route optimization plan, beginning with more service to Pine Hill and Port Ewan. Any Pine Hill or Port Ewan people in the house? They need more service. Yes, yes, there are some. Everyone should be able to get around, including our elderly and disabled neighbors. We've increased our paratransit service by over 50% for transportation and medical appointments. And this year, we're going to leverage federal funding, yes, there is still some, to buy 2 small buses and hire 2 dedicated drivers for our Office of the Aging and Veteran Services Agency. For some seniors and disabled residents, just getting past the front door can be challenging in winter. This year, we're creating a new Ulster County Snow Angels program to pair high school students and community volunteers with a disabled or elderly neighbor to clear their steps and walkway of snow. It's been a really tough winter. She really is an angel, it's true. It's been a really tough winter, and my office got a call from an elderly woman in Hurley whose aide couldn't get into the house. And Deputy County Executive Amanda Lavalle's husband went out and shoveled her out. But there, you know we have other community members facing the same issues, and we want to put a program in place so they get the help they need. Snow or no snow, no one should face barriers to getting around and participating fully in our community because of a disability. As part of our county's Think Differently program, we'll conduct a self-evaluation of government operations this year to identify and begin to correct barriers to accessing programs, services, and facilities. I want to take a moment to thank David Daw. I can't see, but I know he's out there. Hey Dave. So he's an incredible advocate and gave me the chance to experience for myself what it's like trying to get around our office building, like just getting into the bathroom and getting around, the neighborhood in a wheelchair. It was very, very eye-opening. We also want to encourage improvements throughout our economy. This year, we plan to develop a voluntary certification program for businesses that meet accessibility and sensory-friendly criteria. If you've done the work to make your place of business accessible, we want to recognize you. And by the way, you're sitting in a theater that prioritized accessibility in its renovations. It is 100% ADA compliant. So thank you, Rosendale Theater, for doing that. Everyone is better off when we have a thriving local economy that provides good jobs and a growing tax base. That doesn't just happen. We need to have a vision for what we want our economy to look like. And then we need to create the conditions to realize that vision. We want an economy that is diverse, resilient, sustainable, and fair. And our economic development strategy is built on that vision. This year, we're rolling out 2 different revolving loan funds that will expand access to low-cost capital by more of our businesses and also meet more of their needs. The first is really a reboot and refresh of a program that the county has had for many years. In its new incarnation, the fund will meet 3 important needs not currently served by the private market. First, small loans of as little as $7,500 to $10,000 that are too small for a bank, but would make all the difference to a business needing a piece of equipment or to make a major repair. Second, gap funding for larger projects in partnership with local banks. A bank may be willing to provide 70 to 80% of the funding for your project, and we can help cover the rest and also bring down the overall cost of borrowing. Third, we'll provide bridge loans so that businesses and nonprofits can take advantage of grants that are reimbursed after the project is complete. Clearly some nonprofits out there. Often they don't have the cash up front, and they have to pass these opportunities up, which we don't want to happen. Our goal is to support a diverse business community that has very diverse needs. So please help us spread the word. We expect to open the application process in late spring or early summer. The second loan fund is targeted to agriculture and will support projects that enhance farm viability, climate resilience, and efficiency in energy and water use. The program is going to be administered by our partner, the Hudson Valley Agribusiness Development Corporation, and will meet an important need identified in the 2025 Agriculture and Farmland Protection Plan that we adopted last year. We recognize that our farmers are vital to our food security, a healthy economy, and a healthy environment, and they should be supported in all of these roles. From our farms to our downtowns, we want to help our communities thrive. This year, we're launching Main Street Forward, a $2 million investment to encourage strategic development of commercial corridors and downtown hamlets. It's going to be led by our Economic Development Department, and the program's going to support towns and villages in developing corridor plans and will actually provide some funding for projects that attract investment while preserving each community's unique character. So that's a good. So I want to just take a moment to thank the champions of this program in the legislature, including Chair Peter Criswell, Economic Development Committee Chair Megan Sperry, and the members of the former ARPA committee who authorized the original federal funding for this project. Thank you all. Moving from commercial corridors to industrial parks, it may come as news to some that the county still owns a parcel on the east campus of the former IBM complex in the town of Ulster. We're in discussions right now with a local food and beverage company about siting a production facility there, and we're also exploring a cold storage facility on the same property to serve our farms, our small and mid-sized farms. This was another top need identified by our Agriculture and Farmland Protection Plan. We've seen some good progress elsewhere on the East Campus in the last year. National Resources, the real estate company that owns the property, has completed environmental remediation work and redeveloped the main building, which is now home to an impressive new Ulster BOCES Career and Technical Center. And and the headquarters of Archtop Fiber. This is all great news, but I will be honest, iPark has been a bit of a perseverance test. National Resources is currently in default on the mortgage, and we're in a legal process to return ownership of the West Campus to the county. I see this as an opportunity. Remember, you all know I'm a positive, hopeful person, but I do see this as an opportunity, and I'm looking forward to working with UCEDA and our economic development team to market the property to companies that align with our economic priorities. We've got a pipeline of future workers just a skywalk away at Ulster BOCES, making the West Campus a very attractive investment for manufacturing. So, I want to give a shout out to the UCEDA board members. That's the Ulster County Economic Development Alliance. Sorry for the acronym. These folks have been the patient stewards of this redevelopment project, and I just want to thank them for their continued commitment to the full revitalization of that campus. Zooming out to the wider community and economy, this year we're going to convene the Ulster County Economic Future Summit to strengthen partnerships among educational institutions, workforce development organizations, and employers in key sectors and fields, from healthcare to civil engineering to manufacturing. The Ulster County Workforce Development Board is working to identify workforce gaps, and the summit is going to build on their efforts. It also aligns well with the plans and goals of our educational institutions. Ulster BOCES is kicking off an initiative, I believe, next month to go design a strategy for economic mobility in our county, and SUNY Ulster and SUNY New Paltz both prioritize career readiness and local economic engagement in their strategic plans. So this is really an opportunity, really an opportune time to bring together all of our educational, industry, and workforce development partners, get them in the same room talking. We've got incredible resources and expertise in this county to chart the economic future we want. We can design it. And in that same spirit of partnership, and with a deep sense of responsibility for a public institution that belongs to this community, we've launched Reimagining SUNY Ulster. This effort begins from the understanding that our community college is a shared public trust, one that generations of residents have relied on, invested in, and care deeply about. Reimagining SUNY Ulster is about exercising careful, long-term stewardship so that our college remains strong, accessible, and rooted here for decades to come. It is and always will be an essential pathway in our county for upward economic mobility. The committee leading this effort is composed of representatives from the college, county government, and host community. The committee's scope, I want to be clear, does not include curriculum, programming, or staffing. The goal of the committee is simply to make sure that the physical campus is meeting the needs of the students who use it and that the college remains a vital asset well into the future. I launched this effort because we are at an inflection point. Capital planning for the campus has long assumed that the college's needs are the same today as they were 15 or 20 years ago, but they're not. The number of on-campus students has seen a steady decline over the years. In addition to changing demographics in our county, many students now take courses off-site through SUNY Ulster's amazing collegiate program. All of my kids benefited from that program. SUNY Ulster's own strategic plan recognizes these changes and places a greater focus on adult learners whose needs are different from traditional students. They're not spending a lot of time on campus because they're working, they're taking care of kids, some are taking care of aging parents. When people care deeply about a place, uncertainty can create anxiety. I have heard some wild rumors flying around the campus about the county's intentions, that we want to close the college, that we want to build a homeless shelter on the campus, that we want to move the whole campus to iPark. And I want to be clear that none of this is true. We just want a plan that makes sense, that's all. And it is also not true that the county has halted spending on campus facilities. The county has authorized $46 million in capital projects for the college, of which $16 million has been spent to date. It is only new capital projects that we're holding on at this time because it would be fiscally irresponsible to do so without a capital plan that reflects actual campus needs. So I just want to take a moment and thank SUNY Ulster President, Dr. Allison Buckley, as well as the faculty, staff, trustees, and College Foundation for partnering with us in this endeavor. To me, it is an incredibly exciting opportunity to work together in this way. The college and county both share the same goal: to uplift the community and ensure that no one is left behind. Every community member should have the opportunity to lead a productive and fulfilling life. That includes those who have made mistakes, broken the law, and have served their time for it. A couple of years ago, the sheriff and I were approached by Matt Ross, the president of the Carpenters Union Local 279, who had an idea to bring a pre-apprenticeship program into the jail. The sheriff and I both instantly loved this idea and worked with Matt to develop Corrections to Careers, the first program in the state to offer a direct pathway from incarceration to a career in the trades. So great. Thanks to this program, some of the young men who finished serving their time last year are now back in the community working toward a full union apprenticeship. This is what second chances look like. I want to recognize the incredible vision of our sheriff, Sheriff Juan Figueroa. He has created this incredible program called Ignite in the Jail to help prepare incarcerated men and women for a fresh start. They can get a GED. They can work with our staff from the Office of Employment and Training on a resume and career readiness. These programs not only build skills and knowledge, they build confidence to visualize a different life for oneself. But to make that vision a reality, these men and women need to be given a second chance when they return to the community. I want to take a moment to recognize the Carpenters Union, Local 279, and business leaders like Nels Leader, Abretta Lone, and Joe McDowell of Good Eaton and Jay's Painting, who have made second chances part of their hiring policy. We thank you. And we encourage others to do the same. So you only need to take a look around you at this theater, at the amazing band that just played as you walked in, at Red Wing Blackbird Theater across the street. Yay! The Women's Studio Workshop up in the water. The amazing music festival that rocks this town every summer. To get a sense of how much arts and culture are part of this county's identity. With the completion of Ulster County's first Arts and Culture Master Plan, we now have a blueprint to build on the county's legacy as a cultural destination and support a thriving creative community. This was an initiative championed by Chair Criswell, and I want to thank him for his leadership. We have a great team in place to move this work forward, including Sarah Kramer-Harrison, who serves as in the newly created position of Director of Arts, Culture, and Open Spaces, and a new 7-member Arts and Culture Advisory Council whose wealth of experience and expertise will help guide these efforts. Like the theater you're sitting in, the creative sector is vital to our community, our economy, and our quality of life. We want to see it grow and flourish. We've got 2 very exciting and very different events to celebrate this year. The 250th anniversary of the American Revolution and the 2026 World Cup. As you all know, Ulster County played an important role in the American Revolution. And if you don't know, you soon will. Our county clerk, county historian, and tourism department will be coordinating events and programs in all corners of the county to uplift this history in partnership with schools, museums, and cultural organizations. If there was ever a time to elevate those democratic values we fought for, it is now. But we also need to look at this history in its full complexity, including the stories of those not told. We've got some pretty remarkable resources in this county, including the Pine Street African Burial Ground for enslaved and free Africans, which, thanks to Harambe and the community, Ed Ford, and Governor Hochul, it takes a village, is now officially in the National Register of Historic Places. So we congratulate them. Moving from history to sport, the World Cup is taking place less than a 90-minute drive from our county this year, and we are making the most of it. Our tourism department, working with Chief Diversity Officer Dina Suggs, is putting together a countywide map of businesses that will host events and show matches, each celebrating a different country with food, flags, cultural expression. And in the spring, the county will host a youth soccer tournament in the Field of Dreams in New Paltz in partnership with our district attorney's office, bringing together all the county's local soccer leagues. This is going to be a very fun event for the whole county, food trucks, vendors, arts programming, and a whole lot of soccer in honor of the World Cup. So come on out. In Ulster County, we have a strong spirit of internationalism. And last April, Chair Criswell and I signed a sister community agreement with the Chernivtsi region of Ukraine to foster cultural and educational exchange. Ulster County is home to a thriving Ukrainian American community that this partnership builds from. In November, we held our first virtual forum, it focused on agriculture, and we brought together farmers from both our regions to share knowledge and experience and learn from one another, and it was really incredible to be part of. This year, by the way, is the International Year of the Woman Farmer. And we will, Ulster County, just so you know, Ulster County has a lot of women farmers. 40% of our farmers are women, which blows away both the state and national averages. I think we have a couple in this room, right? Elizabeth Ryan from Stone Ridge Orchards and Erin Denowan of Long Season Farm. So we're excited to celebrate you. Ulster County remains committed to protecting our community and planet from harm, even as the federal government reverses decades of climate, environmental, and public health protections. Last week, I issued an executive order affirming our commitment to New York's Climate Act. That deserves an applause because we are committed. We've made impressive progress in this county, reducing climate-damaging emissions from government operations by nearly 30% from 2012 levels. And we're going to reduce them by another 55% by 2050, mark my words. Ulster County was the first in the state to receive silver level certification as a New York State Climate Smart community, and it's time to recertify again this year, and I have no doubt we'll achieve it. We continue to put more solar on rooftops, install more heat pumps to replace oil and gas, and electrify more of our buses and county fleet, and make our buildings more efficient. We're also stepping up our assistance to towns and villages to support local climate solutions in partnership with the Hudson Valley Regional Council and Ulster County Environmental Management Council. Investments in energy efficiency and clean energy are not only environmentally responsible, they are fiscally prudent. We have saved taxpayers $500,000 just by better managing energy use in county buildings. There's a lot to be saved there. In 2021, the voters of this state and county chose to amend the state constitution to recognize clean air and water as a right. Yes. Knowledge is power, and this year we've partnered with Bard College and the nonprofit organization Just Air to create the first countywide system in the state where residents can access real-time information about air quality. We can't stop the wind from blowing Canadian wildfire smoke here, but we can give people the tools to protect themselves when air quality is unhealthy. We're also giving residents new tools to protect their drinking water supply. This year, the Department of Health will pilot a program with state support to detect and mitigate PFAS contamination in private wells, offering free testing and grants to households to address the threat. I want to thank Governor Hochul for championing this program and giving us the money to do this. We're very excited to pilot this program for the state. To protect children from lead poisoning, our health department will inspect rental apartments in areas designated by the state as high risk and will provide grant funding to homeowners and building owners for remediation thanks to a $4 million HUD grant that our health department secured. Go, Eve Walter and the health department. Public Health Director Eve Walter, an epidemiologist, has brought a renewed focus on community health. The department recently completed a community health assessment, which is something that's done every 5 years. It's required by the state. But this year's assessment was hailed by state health officials as a model. The report is presented in an accessible, interactive format that gives all of us a snapshot of health outcomes down to the zip code level and by race, ethnicity, and gender. And this more granular approach is going to enable the health department to target solutions that better address disparities and improve overall community health. We're very proud of our health department. Keeping people healthy requires a robust system of emergency medical services that can quickly deliver care. This past year, Ulster County's Emergency Services Department developed the first countywide EMS plan in the state to close gap in these life-saving services. Thanks to the support of the legislature, the county is investing $4.7 million to help EMS agencies expand coverage areas and improve response times. In December, Governor Hochul signed legislation designating EMS as an essential service, finally, and other counties are now looking at Ulster County's plan as a model for their own. I want to recognize Emergency Services Commissioner Everett Erickson and his team for their innovative leadership. And I also want to recognize and thank all of the local government partners who are providing essential support to their local agencies. Mental health care is as important to our well-being as physical care, and it has been a top priority of ours to expand access to services. Last month, we took a giant step forward in how we care for our community with the opening of an around-the-clock crisis support center in partnership with People USA. Now, any resident experiencing a crisis, no matter their age, no matter their income, no matter the time of day or night or day of the week, can walk into the center and receive the compassionate care that they need to help stabilize and recover. This was 3 years in the making and really does represent a transformative change in the mental health care landscape for our county, and will cut down, I think, on a lot of emergency room visits. The Crisis Support Center is part of a hub of mental health and wellness services offered at the Ulster County Center for Wellbeing in Midtown Kingston. Earlier this month, on the 3rd floor of the building, we cut the ribbon on Children's Way Counseling Center, a new clinic for families and children as young as 5, operated by the Children's Home of Poughkeepsie. A mother had this to say about her experience at Children's Way. We just started going there, and our first appointment brought tears to my eyes because who we see really cares. We've seen so many different people that gave up so easily, and to hear "we will not give up on you" really gave me a sigh of relief. Can't wait for my child to continue going here. To me, that just says it all. I want to thank Mental Health Commissioner Tara McDonald, Deputy Commissioner Katrina Williams, Special Projects Director Jolene Darby, and our incredible service providers for making the vision of the Center for Wellbeing a reality. We are dedicated to continuing the work to ensure that mental health care in Ulster County is accessible, holistic, stigma-free, trauma-informed, and above all, compassionate. So let me close where I began, with community. With this simple but powerful idea that when people show up for one another, when they bring their skills, their compassion, their persistence, and their optimism, extraordinary things happen. Everything I talked about tonight, from housing and affordability to economic development and protecting our democracy and our neighbors, comes down to people choosing to lead where they are and choosing to do the work together, even when the world feels unsteady. Before I finish, I want to take a moment to thank the incredible team that helps me make this work possible every single day. My Chief of Staff, Jamie Capuano, Deputy County Executive Amanda Laval, Deputy County Executive James Amenta, Chief Diversity Officer Dina Suggs, Budget Director Ken Juris, and the entire team in my office: Vanessa, Amberly, Rebecca, Matt, Nassim, Victoria, Don, Carolyn, Fiona, Noelle, and Ginger. They're an amazing team. I also want to thank the legislature for its partnership and recognize the 8 new members who are bringing new energy and fresh ideas to our work. They're already making a difference. They really hit the ground running. There is no denying that we are living through a moment of real national turmoil. There are loud, chaotic, and often frightening forces bearing down on our country, and we cannot pretend that they do not reach us here. But what gives me real hope is that locally, we are choosing a different path. Here in Rosendale, we know something about resilience. This is a place built on limestone and sustained by people who believe in fixing what's broken rather than walking away from it. We live in a county where neighbors check on neighbors when the weather turns, when people show up to help when they're needed, and where community is not an abstract idea, but a daily practice. That habit of looking out for one another is also how democracy works at its best. It's built on trust, responsibility, and the simple understanding that what happens to your neighbor matters to you. That same practical spirit guides us in Ulster County. What makes this county work is not any one program. It's the quiet competence of people who take responsibility for their corner of the world. People who plow the roads, keep the lights on, teach our kids, care for our sick, protect our safety, grow our food, and run our small businesses. People who do their jobs well, look out for their neighbors, and expect the same in return. This is the unglamorous but hopeful work of democracy. And because of all of this, I am proud and truly happy to report that the state of Ulster County is strong. It is strong. And it's resilient, and it's compassionate, and it's forward-looking, and it is anchored by a community that understands that our greatest strength, especially in uncertain times, is one another. Thank you to everyone here today for your leadership, your partnership, and your belief in what we can build together. The road ahead will not always be easy, but it's ours to shape, and I have never been more confident in our ability to meet this moment. Thank you.